keep up with this just because you know I like you?
Santé.
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 Santé. Forgive my
Or we
horrible
say-
blank.
Zapraszamy, jeśli kiedykolwiek bylibyście we Francji i chcielibyście odkrywać południe Francji i Montpellier, naprawdę warto.
I'm trying to be Gwen, and it's so annoying because everyone calls me Lady Gaga.
Hey everybody, I'm from the US, but I live in Poznan, Poland. I'm currently meandering around the banks of the River Warta. I love learning languages and living and traveling in Europe. In today's episode, I'm going to visit my friend, my ex-girlfriend in fact, at her home in France. My wife's coming with me, and I really hope they don't kill each other. So we're going to France to meet my ex-girlfriend. But is my ex French? No, my ex-girlfriend is not French. Not exactly. She's actually from the state of Louisiana, the state I was born in, located in the southern United States. Angela does, however, have a French last name, Leblanc, and a French Cajun family heritage. What the hell does French Cajun mean? And do people speak French in Louisiana anymore? These are queries that will be answered in today's video. I'm also excited to explore how it came to be that in the very same year that my wife and I moved to Poland, Angela moved to France. And since then we've all lived in Europe. What was it that kept us here all these years? But before that, I would like to introduce myself and talk a little bit about how I met Angela. If you want to go ahead and skip forward to Angela and her corner of France, you can do so in the description below this video. If, however, you have a minute, please join me as I go down memory lane. For those of you who don't know me, my name is William Heeman, and though I was born in the swamps of Louisiana, I spent my childhood and the bulk of my formative years in the state of Arkansas, the state I claim is my home state. Arkansas is actually similar to Louisiana in a lot of ways. We share a border, but Arkansas definitely has a lot less swamps and a lot less alligators. So around age 10, I started to notice that foreign films or films set in countries far away from home had a strange effect on me. I would lie awake at night just wishing I could be in James Bond's shoes in Istanbul or in Godzilla's shoes in Tokyo. By 12 years old, when I started collecting foreign language dictionaries and postcards from far-flung destinations, I was self-diagnosed with WSS. Now, what, you may ask, are the symptoms of wandering soul syndrome? If during your day-to-day life you are tormented by ponderings of what it might be like to live in another state or country, to learn another language, to leave everything you've ever known and not look back, to get lost in Tokyo even though you don't look like anyone else and you don't speak the language, you may also be suffering from WSS, Wandering Soul Syndrome. Now please check with your personal physician if any of these symptoms apply to you. Anyway, through middle and high school, I was an antsy demon who could not wait to spread her wings and fly the coop. When I finally escaped from high school, I bounced around the states of Mississippi and Massachusetts, attending different colleges. Oh, I wasted a lot of time and my father's money. At one point, I quit school, started working in an apple orchard, decided in the end to take up studies yet again, and then once again quit and left it all behind. Though I wanted to keep exploring new destinations, I felt at this point my only option was to return to my home state of Arkansas with my demon tail tucked between my legs. So I packed up all of my earthly belongings into my little car and started the 22-hour-long trip from Massachusetts back to Arkansas. So I returned to Arkansas feeling ashamed and defeated. I started yet another degree program at my fourth college. Despite the feelings of shame and humiliation and the ever-present tingling sensation of WSS, I learned a valuable lesson. You can find beauty, new perspective, adventure, new friendships, and even love in your home state. Now, I met Angela through my brother, who was dating her at the time. They eventually broke up, but Angela remained in my circle of friends. Back then, I was dating different people, searching for love and meaning, and dreaming about the world that I had yet to explore. What I really admired in Angela was her desire to explore the world and to have light-hearted, fun adventures. She saw the humor in everyday situations and the beauty in the people around us. At some point, we realized, hey, we have a spark. Let's give this thing a try. Looking back, our romance was short-lived, but it stands out to me as a very pure, happy, and adventurous chapter in life. When we were dating, we both had Volkswagen Beetles, a car quite representative of our personalities, I would say. Hers was named Prudence, mine Triumph. We would cruise around the boring streets of Conway, Arkansas in our tiny cars, getting into all sorts of silly shenanigans. One late night we were driving around in Triumph, my '72 Beetle, and came across a fellow vintage Beetle owner who was stranded on the side of the road. These flawless cars do tend to break down quite frequently. Angela and I leapt into action, helped the guy push start his Beetle and bring it back to life. Another one of our great adventures was when I took the old rust bucket down to Angela's hometown, Lafayette, Louisiana, where I had the chance to meet Angela's wonderful parents and see a bit of her town. And then we made a bit of a road trip on the way back to Arkansas. We even stopped off at Avery Island, which is the home of Tabasco sauce. Are you a fan of Tabasco too? Go to Avery Island, check it out. That carefree journey was one of those moments when you just stop and think, damn, life is good. In the end, our relationship ended, the romantic version at least. Angela moved back to her home state of Louisiana to finish her degree, and I had to buckle down and get serious about completing my own degree, finally. While struggling to finish school once and for all, and also resist the temptation of dropping everything and moving away for the umpteenth time, I met Abigail, my wife and the love of my life. Abby and I fell deeply in love in the summer of 2010, but at some point she realized, hey, I'm dating a guy with WSS. I explained to her my problem that I had always wanted to live abroad since I was a kid, but guess what? Abby didn't run away. In fact, she encouraged me to pursue my dream and to look for jobs across the globe. And in the end, when I finally found a position in Gdansk, Poland, she said, yeah, let's go, let's give it a try. Abby and I have had the time of our lives in Poland. We've made memories and friendships that will last a lifetime. After we got married, we decided that this is the place we consider home and the place we want to stay indefinitely. What I find fascinating is that in 2012, the same year that Abby and I moved to Poland, Angela moved to France. What is it that has kept us three Americans, us three Southerners, in Europe this whole time? Why the hell would anyone want to live in Europe? Okay, one final note before Abby and I go visit Angela and her partner Yannick in France. Ever since Angela and I broke up, and ever since we've all lived in Europe at the same time, Angela and I have kept in touch through the occasional message on social media, even the occasional postcard from the other's adopted country. One of the messages in all this correspondence has remained the same over the years. Will, when are you and Abby coming to France to visit us? Or, Angela, when are you and Yannick coming to Poland to visit? So we've talked and talked about this possibility, and I'm so thrilled. After 12 years of all of us living in Europe, after 14 years of not seeing each other, I get to see my dear friend Angela. Life is quick. Life is fragile. You never know who's going to be in Tokyo. This experience reaffirms my belief that in this life, you have to keep the friendships and connections that mean something to you. And also that you have to stay goofy and live with an open mind and heart like Angela does. Let's go to France. Let's see.
So you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are little fishes, and on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, the big joke that you do for like children in France is to tape fishes onto the backs of your friends when they aren't looking. So this is why they're selling these fish. It's so that for the April Fool's prank, and it says, "Be prepared for the 1st of April."
Have you ever been fished?
Oh, I work in a school, so on April 1st I get home and I have like fish all over my back. And it's so cute. The kids are like trying really hard to be discreet, but
So kids
you know.
get the teachers and teachers get the kids? Or?
I have never done it, but I'm sure I could, yeah, if I planned ahead. Maybe I'll buy some.
Wonderful.
I think about this a lot because it's so easy to compare, you know, my life back at home and my life in France. I see the differences every day, what I like, what I don't like. And the thing that I like the most, I have to say, is that I don't have to have a car. It's really the thing that brings me the most joy. I'm very skittish driving. We have free public transportation for all the buses and the trams. So if you live in the city, you don't have to pay anything, which is amazing. That's a new measure. And the city center is pedestrian, so no cars. It's very safe. It's very small. It's nice. You don't have like it's just less stressful to not be surrounded by the noise and the smell and the sounds of cars all the time. Yeah, it just feels like very liberating. I don't need anything but myself. I don't need money. I don't need insurance, gas, whatever, to be able to visit my city. It's so easy to travel in France because it's so centrally located. If you just hop onto a train, you're like in another country in a few hours, which is incredible. It's a whole new culture, food, language, like right at your doorstep. It's so easy, not expensive. Like you don't have to be rich to enjoy life abroad. And also wine is so cheap. Like I'm a wine drinker, so obviously that's a big perk. So I've lived here for a long time now, 10 years, maybe 11. And Montpellier is quite small, so you start to run into the same people. I love like this idea of having a local bar, a local cafe where you get to know people from there who are either close or just, you know, acquaintances. I know you kind of had a similar video where you talked about that. So that's something that rings true to me as well. It feels good to feel welcome, like you are a part of that space as well. And I would also say that like Montpellier is a small city, so it's inevitable that you start, when you're visiting the same spots, the same grocery stores, the same thrift stores, you start to know and talk to the people you are around. There's a thrift store that I love, that I go to a lot, and one time I was supposed to dress up like Britney Spears for Halloween, and I wanted to be I'm a Slave for You with the snake, and she had like a snake stuffed animal, and she let me borrow it. And like I don't know her, I just know her as the woman who works at the store, but she trusted me enough to like lend me this snake where I could wear it as my Halloween costume and bring it back to her. And I felt like, okay, like I'm a part of this community. Like she trusted me enough to like, you know, give me this this favor. I think there's still a language barrier for me because people know that I'm not French, and I'm not like completely at ease speaking French all the time, but everyone in the South is really nice. They make you feel comfortable for the most part, I would say. They give you a space. But yeah, like finding friends at first, I had a lot of foreign friends, and the French friends came gradually after, once I started daring a little bit more. Yeah, it was really scary when I started working at the pub. Before I was working as an English teacher, so obviously I'm working in English, but at the pub, all of our customers, the most part, are French, probably 90%. So it was really the first time I was working in French, but it helped because I was in an English pub. They knew that I would have an accent, and it really actually gave me a lot of confidence. It really built up my like, it's like, okay, I can do this. And I didn't know anything about beer or sports, and I was nervous about that too, but like those are the things that come gradually over time. So it's like you don't have to know everything right away. You can learn along the way. So I think a lot of people find French people to be pessimistic and they love to complain, which I agree with. But I do think that this is like a very important part of their personality, and the reason why they've been able to hold on to a lot of the social institutions they have, like free education, a really good healthcare system, because French people defend their rights and they defend the right to strike. It's very, very common for French people to go on strike, and so there isn't this I don't know, I think in America, striking is deemed as something very bad or radical, whereas in France there's strikes all the time, and everyone knows that it's for a specific person and it's to help everyone in the long run. So that's something that I appreciate. You know, it's hard when the trains aren't on time or the buses aren't on time, and yeah, it is a pain in the butt, but what you get in the long run is so much more important. And I think French people have found a way to keep that as a part of their identity. They're revolutionaries, so.
How do you, again, na zdrowie in Polish and in
And we
French?
say santé.
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 Santé. Forgive my
Or we
horrible
say chin chin, which is the
Chin-chin.
sound it makes. À la vôtre, which is to you, like cheers to you.
À la vôtre. À la vôtre. I
À la
can't say it.
vôtre.
Vôtre. I can't do it.
It's good, it's good.
Chin chin.
It's okay.
Angela, what is your name and where are you from? Who
Angela,
are you?
So, my name is Angela Leblanc. French name. It'll come in. Spoiler alert. We're talking about French things today. My name is Angela Leblanc, and I'm from Louisiana in the United States.
So you must have some distant French heritage, right?
Yeah. So my last name is Leblanc, which means the white. We're drinking rosé, but that's also how you'd say white wine, Leblanc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it goes well with my personality, who likes a lot of wine. I am from Cajun descent. That's why I have a French last name. So Cajuns, for those who don't know, are descendants of French people from northern France, from Brittany or Normandy, who left France to go to Canada and then eventually made their way down to the United States in Louisiana. And they were able to settle in Louisiana because it's a bunch of swamps over there. And so these people who were from northern France, they were fishermen and, they lived off the land. They were able to adapt to the swamp environment of Louisiana. And at the time, the rulers of Louisiana were Spanish, and they didn't care if the French wanted to come and keep speaking French and do their own religion. They just needed some people to live in this territory. And so they found these French people who were willing to do so.
And you know that your family was part of that migration down to Louisiana?
Yeah, so from what I've understood from family members who've done like a bit of research, my family is from Normandy. And when I went on vacation in Normandy, like in the north of France, I felt like I looked like a lot of the people that were there, or like they looked like my uncles, or like we could be of the same family, like the same nose and stuff is wild. So yeah. And
is that stuff you thought about as a child growing up? Did you think about your heritage and what it meant to be?
No, not at all. Like when you grow up in Louisiana, everyone has a French last name. The Cajun culture is just a part of your like everyday life, so you don't think of it as something special or different. But as I grew older and started learning French, I realized, okay, this is actually important, and French in Louisiana today is kind of dying out. It's a dying language. The people who are learning it now are not learning the French of our grandparents. They're learning like Parisian French because it's more useful. But it's true that being Cajun is special to me now because I realize it's a whole different culture. Our food is amazing. We have like our own music. It's a really different culture from the rest of the United States, which is very special when everything is so across the board kind of the same, or can be. I don't know.
I mean, it's so true. I don't think there are many other states with just such a different culture and a different language. I don't think, Americans, much less Europeans, would know something about the Cajun history and culture and language.
No.
So,
Yeah.
but was the Cajun language cultivated to some degree in school or?
So where I was living and growing up, no. So after World War II, it was very unpatriotic to speak a language that was not English. People speaking French in school would be punished. And so that's why my grandparents speak French, but they didn't teach it to their kids because the way the world was going, it's like if you were speaking a different language than English, it was really disadvantaged. And like, honestly, people thought Cajuns were stupid because they didn't speak English well. So they want the best for their kids. I'm going to teach them English. They need to forget French. And now, like many regional languages that are dying out, people are understanding the value, the importance, the special like part of that and trying to do like immersion programs to try to get it back up. So there are like efforts now in Louisiana. There are many like immersion schools. But once again, it's mostly Parisian French that we're learning because we're living in a globalized world. It makes more sense.
I honestly didn't know that your grandparents spoke French with each other, though.
And it's a very, very old French. It's like if we were to be speaking Shakespearean English, like it's because we lived in the swamps. It's kind of we're very isolated, so influences from the French that was evolving in France didn't reach us, or the French that was evolving in Canada didn't reach us. So it's very like, it's an old language. So any new words, it's funny, like computer is a new concept, right? And in French, there's a word for computer, which is ordinateur. But in Cajun French, you would say le computer, like the computer, because it's a new word, so yeah.
So have you heard stories about French people going on vacation in Louisiana and having their mind blown at hearing some...
I've heard people, like stories of people coming to Louisiana thinking that this is a French place. They're going to be able to speak French. I'm going to be able to get by with French, and it's not at all the case.
Oh, wow.
And so they show up and they're like really kind of like, oh, I thought everyone spoke French here. Like I can't get by. Like my English is no good. Like
I mean, you're talking about French people who plan vacation in the
to
U.S.
come to Louisiana because they speak French.
So does that history of Louisiana kind of live on in the minds of French people?
Many people from Louisiana learn French and will go and study and teach English in France and vice versa. French people come to Louisiana to teach French. But I think that French people, when they come, they are very surprised at what Cajun French is because it's not even like Canadian French. It's a whole nother level. It's like, it's very strange to their ears, I think.
Did you ever use that language? Did you ever hear it?
I only know it through like music. I inherited my grandfather's accordion, Cajun accordion, so I knew a few songs in Cajun French.
Oh, how cool!
But that's the only like Cajun French I know.
I hope you play them after our conversation.
My accordion's back in Louisiana. It's too precious to like bring over, so.
Next time we're in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So how do we know each other?
How do we know each other?
How is it that I am in your apartment in France right now, in Montpellier?
In Montpellier.
Montpellier.
So we're old friends. We met each other 15 years ago, right?
15 years ago, I believe so. I just can't believe.
Is that right?
It's been that many, yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of a wild story. I know you because I dated your brother, Ben.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Yes.
Yeah, your brother.
Yeah.
I was going to college in Arkansas, and I didn't like know what I wanted to do at that point. I hadn't decided on a major, and I went to the same college as your brother, and me and your brother dated for a short period of time, and then he broke up with me.
No, no.
I know. And then we started dating.
You and I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like very convenient for me because I love your mom. And like I was very sad when Ben broke up with me because I was like, oh my God, I love
lost
Linda. Like I've lost
Linda.
her. And so then we dated for a little bit.
Just to continue access to my mom, right?
Yeah. And then it was a short-lived but very special relationship, I think.
I wholeheartedly agree. I really cherished that time.
Yeah,
and
me too. It was a very
just,
special time in my life, and like my first year of college, so I was experiencing a lot of new things, and like this was the first time living outside of Louisiana, and so like Arkansas in that time holds like a really special place in my heart for sure. So it was very cool.
I kind of wonder about that sometimes when we talk about Arkansas, and I know that was just a short part of your career, of a short part of your
my lore,
history,
yeah.
of your lore, exactly.
And that's the thing, we were like young, exploring, adventurous, and I think this is why we both live abroad now, wouldn't you say? It's like this adventurous, like searching for something else and like exploring the unknown. And so, yeah, when I found out that you were going to Europe as well, as like, it was not surprising. It's like, yeah.
And the interesting thing is, and that, you know, we've talked for so long, for so many years about this potential meeting happening after all these years.
On this side of the world.
We both moved to Europe in 2012.
Yeah.
What month? Do you remember what month you moved?
September, because it was my birthday. I remember I arrived like the day before my birthday. Yeah.
That's incredible. And yeah, so we moved. I moved in April, Abby in May. But so since then, since 2012, that's when we started. We had been keeping in touch on Facebook and stuff. And we had been floating the idea of, oh, you should come to Poland. You should come to France.
Yeah, but I thought you were just being nice. Like, I didn't think you'd actually ever come. So the fact that you came to my like town is open up the doors. And now I'm moving to Poland to come stay with y'all.
Zapraszamy. You're welcome.
Okay.
How did you come to France and why did you stay here?
So, as you'll remember, I didn't stay in Arkansas that long. I decided that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I first went to Arkansas. And in that first year, I decided I want to learn French. I want to study French. I'd started a little bit. I'd studied a little bit in Canada before, in Acadie, in the northeast side of Canada. I decided, okay, if I'm going to study French, what am I doing in Arkansas? I'm from Louisiana, which is a francophone state. I need to go back to Louisiana. So I moved back to Louisiana. I studied French. I did a year abroad in Aix-en-Provence, which is near Marseille. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. And as soon as I got home, I was like, I need to figure out a way to get back to France. So that was always the goal. How do I get back to France? And I finished my undergraduate's degree. And I applied for a teaching assistant program where Americans or other Anglophone speaking countries can come to France and teach English. And so that's how I was able to be placed in Montpellier. I didn't know anything about Montpellier. I just chose it because it was in the south. And like, I love it. I've been here for 10 years. I don't want to move. It's amazing. You've seen it. What do you think?
I love it so much. And I want to live here now in this city.
It's very special. Like it's
it's over 10 years. It's 12 years almost that you've lived here. And it's just incredible.
Where does the time go?
Where does the time go? But it says something, right, that Abby and I got cold feet there for a minute, and when we were living in Poland, we returned to the U.S. for almost 2 years, and you know, we went from falling in love with like the Polish lifestyle and then the European way of doing things.
Yeah.
But we decided, well, let's go back anyway and earn some more money and, you know, get back in the American culture. What has kept you in Europe and in France and not needing to go back or stay in the US?
That's a really good question. I know there's something in me. I love Louisiana. I love where I'm from. And like if I had to move back to the United States, I would want to live in Louisiana. It's so special to me, and I think it's a very special place. But I just like the European lifestyle. I feel like here, at least in Montpellier, you know, we're in the south. It's always sunny. It's just like a chiller way of life. I don't, and it's also, honestly, it's the fact that I don't live amongst any of my peers. So I don't feel any pressure from my peers or even my family, who would never like judge me. But I can't even imagine them judging me because, you know, they don't live in the same vicinity as me.
Right.
So a lot of the pressure of like being successful socially, financially, whatever, I don't feel those pressures because the fact that I live in Europe is my kind of like, it's my impressive thing that I, you know, it's like,
that's all I've got.
Yeah, it's like the fact that, you know, if you work in the bar in the US, maybe your peers would judge you, but it's like I work in a bar in France and it's like kind of exotic, cool, like romantic. So, you know, there's kind of like I just feel like there's less pressure and more pleasure to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I enjoy every little like really little things, like having some good cheese or like having a nice glass of wine, or like all those things are very accessible.
I totally agree. And I even, you know, I think here that at least that's a stereotype, right? That maybe the French or Italians, I don't know how to take pleasure in the simple things. Yeah. And I think even
take their time,
Polish people do better than Americans. Like in my last video, I said something about just that I feel like life looks more like life in Poland than in the US, that you can actually, you know, plan vacation and spend time with your family. People are actually in public parks pushing baby strollers and stuff and going on walks with their grandparents, and I just in the US really didn't see that. So
yeah, I mean, it's just the whole way the countries are set up, like if you're able to, like, what's accessible to you, how easy is it to connect with your community and things like that. I think Europe is like, where I'm from, everything is walkable, so it's easy and free to get around. And you know, once you drink the Kool-Aid, it's hard to go back, isn't it?
Exactly. And by the way, what are you doing in France?
Well, I'll let you know. So I have two main jobs, which is I work as a English language assistant. So I work in a primary school with little tiny French kids, and I help them learn English, and we sing lots of songs like if you're happy, 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 clap your hands. It's really great because at that level they're like very enthusiastic and willing to sing and play games, and they're not, you know, I've taught at all the levels, and once you get to like high school, college, there's a fear of speaking, a fear of like being foolish, being a clown. So with the little kids, it's amazing. They go for it, and they get the accent really well. You have to start young, I think.
Really?
Yeah. They're so good. It's so impressive. I've been doing this job on and off for like the past 10 years. I live in Montpellier with my partner, Yannick. He's like a showbiz man.
he's in show business.
He's in the show business here. I think one of the reasons that like drew me to Yannick was that he was a part of this theater world in Montpellier, and like I feel like an artistic creative person, but I would never like act in French. I don't have the level, I don't have the confidence to do so. But I totally lucked out. Just a stroke of luck, I was able to land a few jobs doing voiceover in France, but in English. So I've had incredible opportunities to work with different video game studios on different games. So I voice Alex in Road 96. I voice him again in the prequel. Hello, my name is Angela LeBlanc. I am from the United States in Louisiana. And for this video game, Room 96, I do the voice of Alex, among other little characters. And now, a sneak peek of today's Sonia's show.
They fried him, man. I don't know if he can talk now.
Why is the music?
Central to Unit 2, do you copy? Over. I voiced the main character in Astria Ascending. The last video game I did won an award, a Pegasus, which is like the Oscars of the video game world, for best new game called En Garde. En Garde, it's a sword fighting game. It's really fun. Like y'all should play these games. It's so good.
Back for more? You keep up with this just because you know I like you? I'd love to hear it.
Teaching and
Voice acting.
voice acting are my main gigs here in France. So, if anyone needs any voiceover work, you can contact me. Go to my website, and I'll hook you up.
Final question, because
Final
I
question.
know.
Let's wrap it up.
Any
Things to do.
advice to people who are learning English or people who are learning French?
Okay.
What would you tell the little babies who?
Who are trying to learn.
Yeah.
I think my most important piece of advice is to let go of your fear of being foolish. This is the biggest roadblock I think a lot of people have when speaking a new language. As a teacher and as a language learner myself, I've seen people be too afraid to make a mistake to talk. And you're not if babies don't try and make mistakes, they're never going to learn a language. They're never going to get, maybe they will. I don't know how babies work. But you got to just let it go. Mm-hmm. You will be stupid. You will sound stupid. Your jokes will fall flat. But it's not a big deal. And it will help you to progress to a point where your jokes will then succeed. So this is the biggest roadblock. You have to let go of the ego, which is extremely hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to take my own advice on this. That's a general advice for learning language. I will say in my own experience, what was helpful to me is I started learning language. I went to a summer camp, which was an immersion camp, where you could only read in French, listen to French music. You could only speak in French. And I was there for a month. And it was extremely hard because my French level was abysmal. I took French 1 3 times. I'm not good at languages. I just really persevered. So I would say immersion is obviously the best way if you're able to do it. Not everyone's able to go to a French summer camp or live abroad. That's not practical. But as much practice as you could get is great. I also found that it was helpful to me to read books that I had already read in English in the target language, because words that you would have to look up in a dictionary, you would already know what they are because you know the context of the story. You know the story already. And then it's just get as much practice as you can. If you can date someone in your target language, that's very good. It really helps.
I am so impressed by what you and Yannick have, and just that's just incredible how well he speaks English, how well you speak
His
French.
English has gotten better because he's dating me, but he already had a good level. But But
I see just both of you. I mean, you know so many French colloquial expressions,
yeah,
idioms,
I do.
and
totally,
he knows
because
experiments with the English ones. So,
and he is my Google. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll just be is this word masculine or feminine? And I can just ask him. I have the answer, or why would we say this and not this? He's always. I hope that he likes giving me the answers. Maybe it makes him feel like he's knowledgeable.
Yep, I'm sure. Yeah,
but,
I'm sure he's happy to do it.
But he's a fountain of knowledge to me in my everyday life.
I've got to get me a Polish husband.
Love it.
Thank you, Angela. Oh
You're
my
welcome.
God. Thank you for your hospitality, and I'm so glad. Nie mogę wierzyć, że trafiłem, a właśnie poszliśmy do baru z Angelą i z Abi i trafiliśmy na Filipa, właśnie, z Poznania.
Ja generalnie jestem w Montpellier od 6 lat i też nie mogłem w to uwierzyć, że wcześniej widziałem twój YouTube channel i zaskoczyło mnie to naprawdę, bo trochę gadaliśmy i wydałeś mi się po prostu znajomy i za chwilę po prostu odkryłem, że faktycznie razem zobaczyliśmy telefon i faktycznie widziałem twój kanał na YouTubie.
Kurczę, ale naprawdę fajnie, że się poznaliśmy w taki sposób. Taki fajny zbieg okoliczności.
Tak, dokładnie. Znaczy, to był w ogóle niesamowity przypadek właśnie, że razem, że tutaj Will odkrywał właśnie Poznań i że razem spotkaliśmy się w barze Szekspir. Boże, znaczy teraz jesteśmy generalnie troszeczkę już tipsy
No.
i myślę, że
Tak
nie
jest,
wiem, czy to
prawda.
pójdzie w świat.
Zobaczymy.
Tak więc zapraszamy, jeśli kiedykolwiek bylibyście we Francji i chcielibyście odkrywać południe Francji i Montpellier, naprawdę warto, jest mnóstwo przewspaniałych ludzi, żeby tutaj odkrywać. Jest naprawdę bardzo takie multicultural towarzystwo, więc naprawdę warto zajrzeć do Montpellier, nie tylko do tych najbardziej znanych miejsc, jak na przykład Le Côte d'Azur, czyli Nice i tak dalej. Naprawdę warto Montpellier też poodkrywać trochę te mniejsze miejscowości, bardzo wspaniali ludzie są wokół nas.
Pięknie powiedziane, bardzo dziękuję.
Dzięki bardzo.
Uh-oh, looks like you got something in your eye. Hang on, hold still. Oh, I don't know what that is. Hey, if you like weird content like this, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I would be very grateful for that.